Hey everybody, Dr. Dave Marquis here, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you about an experience that I had just the other day when I was in the store and I was picking some things up, and I happened to walk past the shelf that contained like decongestants and cough syrups and stuff, and it was bare. And I looked twice and I said, wow, what happened? Because the rest of the store was pretty well stocked, and you all remember the time when toilet paper was bare, and I thought, well, what's going on here? Are we having a run on cough syrup? So as I was checking out, I asked the clerk, and the gentleman there, he said, oh yeah, it's been gone as fast as we can get it in. People are just stocking up. And I'm like, really? So now we have a panic on upper respiratory infections apparently, and so we're gonna hoard everything that we can to prevent congestion. Okay, I get it. I get fear. I get being driven that way, but the message that I want to share with you is that we were actually warned about this. We're warned by people that I would not consider foolish, unless those individuals that warrant being awarded Nobel Prizes are fools. About 2 years ago, Luc Montagnier, and I'm sorry if I pronounced the last name wrong, a French virologist who happened to be one of the individuals that was pivotal in helping us to understand AIDS and HIV and virology in general. I mean, the man was a genius. He passed away this year, sadly, and before he did, he warned us. And he said, you know what, we shouldn't be taking the actions that we are as a world implementing these shot protocols in the middle of an epidemic, because this is what I anticipate will happen, because we've seen it happen before. And he said that the thing that would happen is that our immune systems would actually become ineffective, meaning that we wouldn't be able to control the outcome. So our immune systems would start to not only not recognize new infections, but when we experience older infections, we would actually have a reemergence where the body could no longer control its rate of inflammation. And we've seen this. We've seen it in people where they have cytokine storms and their lungs fill up with fluid, and people are experiencing a lot of really negative things relative to their vascularity. I've talked about that before. I was doing a PubMed search. PubMed is available to everyone, and I encourage you to go there because it has great research. And one of the organizations that does research that is not funded by industry is the Cochrane Group. And that's a really important point for you to understand, that if someone's funding research, they're doing so because they want a particular outcome, because they generally have some way of monetizing the results. Research that is drawn from public funds or private research that is not put out by industry or a for-profit industry, generally, in my opinion, has a little bit more credibility, because there's people that aren't going to be making money that have skin in the game of doing the work just to find out the truth. And isn't that what we all really want? Just to get to the bottom line. The bottom line is that the Cochrane Group, they went back to 1966 and all the way up into the 2000s, and they looked at all the different studies relative to influenza vaccines. They broke it down into age groups. So they studied children, they studied middle-age groups, and they studied the elderly. And they looked at all these different age groups, and the conclusion was that if the study was funded by industry, it was published in more prestigious journals, it got more press time, and it also showed more favorable outcomes. The second half of that thought, which I had to laugh as I read it, studies funded from public sources, and I don't want to mess this up, so I'm actually going to read it, were significantly less likely to report conclusions favorable to the vaccines. The review showed that reliable evidence on influenza vaccines is thin, but there is evidence of widespread manipulation of conclusions and spurious notoriety of the studies. I didn't write that. That was in PubMed. Please take that for what you will. When we see media endorsing fear and promoting a concept of outbreaks, please plug your ears, because they're just trying to get you to do things that aren't for your benefit. At what point did we as a public stop doing hard things? Health does not come from the outside in. I'm sitting here in my office right now. I've got my tools around me. I see sick people all day long. It's what I do. It's what I've done my whole career. I have things like my little nebulizer. I use this regularly because I'm breathing the same air and I want to. I want to share those microbiomes. But I also don't want to overtax my immune system. I want to give it the chance to learn because I want to have a fever at times, because the statistics show that the more fevers you have in your lifetime, the less probability of cancers. Fevers are good for us. It's your immune system working. Don't run in fear, please. Turn off the news. I only get glimpses of the news because I really don't want to have that negativity in my life, and I hope that you don't either. But when I hear about something that people are being poked and prodded into fear about, I feel a need to actually address that and give you some objective evidence to the contrary. The solution isn't in another shot. It never has been. The solution is to take responsibility for yourself and apply those principles of health. Hydration, rest, hygiene, nutrition. Just stick to the basics. Rinse, wash, and repeat. By doing that, you're going to make your body stronger and you're going to come out on the other end of this healthier. And that's what we all want. I hope that's helpful. Please take the time to go to my website, DrDave'sHeadSpace.com or pathwaystohealth.net. Either of those will get you to the website. And on there, you'll find toolkits of information that you can use for yourself, your family, your friends, to use as a reference of things that you can proactively and actively do to improve your health on a daily basis. Be well.